Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance. Now, it's time to welcome two serial entrepreneurs, leaders, husbands, and fathers who are passionate about sharing the strategies that are helping them excel in life and in business. Here are Mauricio Garcia and Hubert Humphrey.
Well, I'm happy, I am excited for the topic that we have prepared for you today. My name is Mauricio Garcia. And, balance, they say everything is about balance. And to talk about that, of course, I have, as always, my partner, my friend, my mentor, Hubert Humphrey. Hubert, how are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. I'm glad to come in here unbalanced to talk about balance.
I was earlier telling you, I probably have no moral authority to talk about balance. I'm putting 80, 90, 100-hour weeks sometimes. It's not an exaggeration. So, but I think the benefits of being an entrepreneur too and controlling your time is you're able to squeeze in many things. Having 3 toddlers, right? Actually, a baby, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-month-old. You can just imagine, right? Making time for them. That is the important thing. So balance. How do we find balance in between family and in work? In this case, more for entrepreneurs, because it's not people that are listening to us. Maybe many of them still have a 9-to-5, but are looking for ways to go in business by themselves, and maybe they have a side hustle, right? A lot of people nowadays have a side business, and business demands your attention. It demands your time. So it puts you out of balance with other things that you want to do. So let's talk about that. How do an entrepreneur find balance in the life and with business or partner and stuff like that?
Well, there's a lot of different pieces there to discuss, and we'll jump on different parts of it right there. But I know one thing: the success is the process of going through a lot of periods of unbalanced portions of your life, kind of that leads to success. You just cannot go through life totally balanced. You're gonna fall. We talked about on the last podcast about trying and getting up when you fail, and so there's always going to be things out of balance in life and make course corrections. But let me give you a couple of examples here that would kind of set the stage for the things that I'd like to talk about today. One is that I kind of use the example of Vince Lombardi, the great Hall of Fame football coach that won 4 Super Bowls. He was the great champion with the Green Bay Packers and built legends, and he set the priorities for his team. It was God, family, and the Green Bay Packers, and that was the 3 priorities: your religion, your family, and your business. And so using that, you've got to make sure that you should pursue excellence in all those things, but there's going to be moments in time when all those, first of all, if that's your 3 priorities, if they're priorities, that means that they're important. That means that they're necessary. Everything in those priorities are necessary. But there comes a point in time, at different points in time, where urgency supersedes necessary. All of them are necessary, but something becomes urgent / critical at a moment in time. Something could happen in your family, for example, and let's say you got a lot of great things you're doing in your business. You need to keep having this meeting or that meeting, or do this particular thing, or work on this project that you're working on, like you're consistently doing to achieve some great objective. But all of a sudden in your family, there's a necessary thing that has moved to urgent. Your son or daughter is graduating from college today or high school today. Well, you can't say, well, I'll tell you what, I got to keep doing this project I'm working on and keep doing what I'm doing here. Well, you can, but they're not going to graduate from college or high school again. You need to go, if you possibly can, go do that one, and put off what you were doing in the business to another day or later. Something and same thing like in your family life. You go to all the little league games or all the basketball games, or go to the concerts or all the little ballet classes, or whatever you do with your kids, or the Saturday picnic or whatever you're going to go on. But there's something critical going on in your business. There's a giant convention you're putting on like once a year, and you've got to be there or you got to attend it with your whole business group. And you can't. It's once a year. It's very critical to the success of your venture. Well, the family's going to have to understand that this new urgent is going to push that back a little bit, and that'll offset things for a day or week or whatever it takes. Those types of things. So you got to have. It's the necessary versus urgent. And in my business life, my wife Norma always took care of making sure that whatever became urgent in the family side of things, she was responsible for being that thermostat. If I was too hot, she's going to cool me down. If I was too cool, she's going to heat me up. But she's going to keep me focused in knowing when that becomes urgent. She's going to let me know. And in my church life, and I say church life because I always had a lot of responsibilities that I had to do. I'd been called to be a bishop in our church as a young person. That was just a lay ministry that I did no salary or anything, but I did that while I worked and built. And I had a lot of priorities over there doing things. But sometimes that was superseded by something I had to do in my family or my business, and vice versa. Something would come up there that would supersede. So you got to have a balance in these things in life, and that's it's all right to be unbalanced, is what I'm trying to say. And success requires, in any endeavor, requires a little bit of front end loading. And just a concept of front-end loading is out of balance. That immediately means you're going to be out of balance for a period of time in time and effort and energy that you're putting into something up front. It's going to be overloaded, and that's okay. If it's all three of those things are good, noble things. Your family, your God family, and your Green Bay Packers, your business. Those are all three important things, and you just time. It's just a. You don't want to. It's different between being out of balance sometimes and neglecting something. You don't want to neglect anything.
Right.
Neglect means when you've just sort of forgotten it, and you've just gone down the road, and you shouldn't do that. In any one of those endeavors, you're going to get in trouble if you neglect things. But there's a time and a place that for your time being committed to something.
Yeah, that definitely has helped me really just understanding what is, what's important was urgent, and understand how to prioritize. I haven't really been a big fan about micromanaging like every single minute, like have this time I'm gonna have breakfast, at this minute I'm gonna do this. That's exhausting to me. Other people could swear that that's how they manage their life, that's how they go by it. But how do you then prioritize based on what is urgent at that time if you're just going to follow that sort of so it's just changing that mentality that it doesn't have to be that way. You do have to plan ahead. I mean, if you plan your next day the night before, even like this podcast, all these things are prepared ahead of time. It helps you be more productive, but it is definitely not just having everything you're gonna do at every single minute. At least for me, it didn't. I tried that one time as I was looking how to find that balance. I think what you just mentioned is a better way, much better way to go for sure.
Well, you got to have like if in your home or in your office, if you want your temperature balanced, you don't want it to be too hot, you don't want it to be too cold. So what do you have? You have a thermostat. By the way, there's a difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer, it can read something at any given time. All it can do is read the temperature. It can't do anything about it. But a thermostat can actually do something about it. It can bring the temperature. If you're too cold, it can bring it. It can heat it up and bring the temperature up. If it's too cold, if it's too hot, it's going to bring the temperature down. Mm-hmm. And so you need to have some thermostats in your life to kind of keep a flow. And just remember, it's all right to be out of balance. the bottom line is that you've got lofty goals in each one of those priority categories, and the main thing is, do you get there? Do you win? And if something has to be rearranged in the time process to get there, you're going to do it. You know, you don't. There is no orderly. Got to be done 1, 2, 3. It can never. You just can't. You can't just go do something at the expense of everything else.
Right.
There's something that may go on a period of time, and I'm not even going to tell the people some of the times that I've put in over the years building, front end loading our career, our lives, and our businesses to do what we had to do, but it was worth it. And another thing is that you need to get a buy-in from your family, your husband, your wife, your significant other, your children. If they understand that you love them, you care for them, and when you are around them, they know how much you appreciate them, and you are going to keep enough balance in their life with them. But they also know that when you're pursuing your business or a second career, whatever you're doing, that's taking this time away, is for their good, it's for their education, their future, blah blah blah, and get a buy-in from them so that they know that they're on this journey with you, and they know the time that's invested there is in their behalf. You know, something like that.
Absolutely, and it brings back one of the sayings I've heard before. It's like how you do anything, you do everything. If you put quality time in your business, then that's kind of the quality time to put into the family, as an example, your spiritual life and all that. You know, so great message there. Now, to really be more effective and learn how to prioritize, I know you delegate a lot. I've been learning to delegate as I go and as I grow as an entrepreneur, because, you know, sometimes it's really about learning how to say no, and not just say no, but also learn what to delegate. Really put all these things on a list, right? And see what is the thing that I shouldn't be doing, and just really try to delegate as much to be able to open up these spaces for you to be able to be in more balance with things like family, and like you said, you know, God.
Well, that's a very important thing. Is delegate or stagnate. I keep mentioning tapes and books and people that I've learned from over the years, but there was a great tape I listened to probably 40 years ago that set me on the right path, called Delegate or Stagnate, and it talks about this principle that you got to work on your business and not just down in your business, and your time is worth a whole lot, and don't be doing something that you could go and delegate out to somebody else that you could hire. You could pay somebody $10 an hour, $20 an hour. You could pay them $50 an hour. You could pay them $1,000 a day, whatever. If it's making you $100,000 a day, why would if your time's whatever your time's worth? Hopefully, it's worth a whole lot more than what you are delegating out. And so that you got to have some team around you in the beginning. If you don't have a lot of money, you're gonna have maybe a family member, somebody that can help you part time, where they can take some of this stuff off of you, and you can delegate it. That doesn't mean you forget it. It means you delegate it. There's their responsibility to get it done and report back to you. In the meantime, you're working on the business. You're doing things that only you can do. There's things that in my business, I look at my time could be worth $1 million an hour. It could be worth $10 an hour, depending upon what I put that time in. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be very careful where I delegate it to do it. That's how you. It's like a regulator of your time. It balances things out in your life, and the key is I coined a phrase a long time ago called chaotic. It was a combination of chaos and order. That's sort of how I've built my business. Chaos and order. It's
chaos and order. Yeah.
I call it chaotic. It's chaotic, and it's because I have a system. I've got a system. It keeps it somewhat regulated. The great thermostat in my life, in my business life, and even in my other parts of my life, is that I usually have got a pretty good success system that I'm going to follow that'll save me from myself. It'll make constant course corrections. It'll always have the balancing aspect to it. It won't be perfect, but it pierces through all the chaos and brings a little bit of order to it. It nothing perfect. You know, you never want to see how the sausage is made, but boy, they taste good when you eat it.
Yeah. Well, let me just give a disclaimer here to people following us is that if they hang around us long enough, at least me hanging around with you, I thought I knew Spanish and I knew English, but I actually know a third language, which is the Hubert Humphrey language, because you make up all these different words I've never heard about, and it's just then I find myself speaking this third language with all these words. But that's cool. So
just remember that. Just remember, guys, that there's nothing we can do about it. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be confusion. There's going to be turbulence. There's going to be hard times. It's all according. We're going to be proactors or reactors. That's another way of balancing your life. Are you a proactor or are you a reactor? If you let your reactor button work too much, you'll just be you'll be wore out, because from early in the morning to late at night, there's something hitting you all the time that you can react to.
Emails, notifications, social media, blah, 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 problems here. Yeah. Sorry, there's so many things nowadays, you know?
You just got to be a proactor. A proactor, I don't even know if there is such a word as that. I've made it up a long time ago. I've said it so many times for so many years, I assume it is a word, you know? But proactor means that you're not going to react to something. You're going to you know it's out there, and you're going to do something about it to compensate for it and harness the power of it. And you know the martial arts. If you understand much about martial arts, all the stuff that you take the strengths of your opponent and use them against them, and they become your strengths. And that's sort of what you got to do as a proactor in life.
Well, there you go. And I guess multitasking. Right, to elaborate more, because see, multitasking as an entrepreneur, I think most people can relate to a point in their entrepreneurial journey that they had to do so much, right, in the beginning, whether because there's no money or you just didn't have the talent to be able to delegate things. You had to learn the skill to do it, and so you find yourself multitasking, and of course that demands so much time that puts you out of balance again. And so how to really, in your experience, what have you been able to do to not multitask? Obviously, for focus purposes and have better results, but sometimes you just can't escape from multitasking. It just really drains your entire time of the day.
Well, you've got to do something. There's no way to get around it, especially as you're starting out on the way up in your business. If you don't have somebody or can't afford to have somebody around you to delegate or hire people, if that's the condition you happen to be in right now, you've got to go. You got to go do both things. You've got to go do the thing, but just because you're easing down into your business to do what you've got to do with something that down the road you're going to be delegating, you don't lose sight of the fact that you know what you're doing. You know you can't do this long, and you also know that you got to work twice as hard now when you come back up to do the things that only you could do that are more productive. So right. you got to do both. But just don't lose sight of it. Let me give you one little tip here that I learned I'm going to describe my life when I started financial services. I was working on a railroad, 60, 70 hours a week. I was gone. I'd be gone 2 or 3 days at a time on a trip, leave Macon, Georgia, and go to Columbus or go to Albany, wherever the train was supposed to go that day. And I'd be gone 2 or 3 days on an average, sometimes longer. And so I was 65, 70 hours a week gone. And from home, doing that. Also, I was a bishop in our church as a young guy, 31, 32, 33, got kids, and got children, and 4 children at that time. And so here I am doing all this. That's taking me about 30 hours a week to be that I'm just committing to work in for my church. And then also I'd been doing an Amway business on the side. I've been trying to find something to help me escape from the railroad. So that was taking 10 or 15 hours a week. So you add all that up, I'm out there 100 hours a week type person, and because I am doing a little bit with the family and the kids, not a lot, and sleeping very little. But that was my life. And all of a sudden, a little part-timer who had just heard about A.L. Williams, it was just starting, a little company with 30 people, just starting, Art Williams was just starting it, an idea whose time had come. He comes over, and long story short, I end up joining that company right away, and so now all of a sudden I've got my 100-hour-a-week person, and I've now brought on another deal. But this one, I could tell something about it. It was just a different animal. Marketing financial products. I saw that it was an idea whose time had come. I could just tell it. I knew it. And so all of a sudden, I made a quick decision that this was going to now dominate my business side of my life. It was going to replace my job. And I immediately replaced my Amway business overnight. I just ceased to quit operating in that business, and jumped into this thing. Now I still had the railroad, still had the other things. But here's the key to the whole thing. I treated the railroad, which was still 60, 70 hours a week for the next 3 or 4 months, I treated that as my part-time job. And all of a sudden, my new full-time career, not job, but career, was this new business I had just started as a independent one-man show in this A.L. Williams business. And I treated that as my full-time career, even though 70 hours a week on the railroad was my part-time career. And I challenge people, even though you still have your other jobs and you're starting in your venture, too many people say, well, I work over here, that's my full-time job, and I do this on the side. If you treat this as a side hustle, a side business,
wow,
trust me, you're gonna get paid like it's a side deal.
It
needs to be your main deal. Whatever you're still having to do, that's your part-time deal. And that's fine. Like we've got in our business today, we've got a lot of people that are IT engineers. They make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year with husband and wife teams. And for a while, they keep that business going. But that's their part-time deal. And they're over here the ones that treat this, the business that we're in, the ones that treat it as their full-time business. Like Sarah Puri just went full-time here March 1 with us. And he had a $250,000 a year job in the IT world.
Yeah.
And he worked, treating that as a part-time deal. This is the full-time deal. And guess what? His income now is over $400,000. He replaced that income, fired his boss, and this is his total career. He doesn't even have a part-time $250,000 a year job anymore. That's the mentality that will make you more successful than anything else I could tell you.
I like that. I have seen a lot of people try this side business, right, side hustle, but they never stop treating whatever they're currently doing as the part-time now. Is that making that paradigm shift is all the different. I like that. I like that message. I think finally, to wrap it up for today, is the availability of time. When I started in my business, I was basically available to everybody, right? Like you have to be available. If you're in business, you have to pick up every phone call. You've got to be available. And, you get to a point where just being available to everybody ends up consuming everything in you. So, a lot of people may not like what I'm about to say or what I'm saying about being, and I honestly don't have the right word for this, but it just I don't know if the word is jealous, but just be careful where your time goes. You don't have to be available to everybody, because as you have more success, people will demand of your time. But you have the right, and you've got to be careful where your time goes, even though it may be taken wrong by the people that are maybe looking for you. I don't know if you can add to that, but because otherwise you're going to end up not having time for what's important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and the people who are going to win in life they understand that there's people out there that need something from them, so they have a staff around them that can still satisfy these people's needs, even if you can't be the one personally doing it every time. And maybe sometimes a little note or an email or a text back, kind of letting them know, hey, I apologize, I've slammed over here, but I'm making sure that so and so is handling what you got over there. We'll get back together soon. As long as you keep some relationship there with people, depends upon the level. If you're up here and somebody that's the same level with you trying to talk to you from another company, you got to handle that a little different. Again, it's the evaluation of the person. But the other thing is you've got to manage your time. The best way I know to fail is try to please all the people all the time. That will absolutely swamp you. You're dead in the water. So you gotta just change that and understand that set the example for your people. Hey, let the people that you're dealing with know up front that you got a great assistant, you got a great team. I'm gonna be hard to get, and I apologize up front, but I will be getting back to you.
Right.
But deal with my people here.
I didn't, and I guess just to clarify is you have a responsibility when you take on a client, and it's just creating the processes to be able to deliver what you promise to your client. You have that, obligation really. But I was speaking more to, like in my case, as I was growing as an entrepreneur, right? I had a lot of friends who I used to go out and party and hang out, do things that just made me feel good, but weren't really productive. So eventually, you have to graduate out of that and start not being available to that, and that's what I mean, because there's a lot of the friends that are never going to evolve from the party scene, from just working for the weekend, and just is operate on that paradigm that they'll continue to push you over there because they don't want to be the only ones there. And you know what I mean? It's like if you're progressing, so you have to be careful who you need to prioritize or where your time is going to go. When it comes to your business, your clients, of course you've got to, if you're not going to, you got to create a process that your clients go through to be able to service them, right? But it's not. You don't have to be the one necessarily doing all the administrative work. That's why you build a team. Just like you said, you have your assistants as your business is growing. But I was talking more about those activities that really don't show much, that is not productive in your life and is not really advancing you in what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, you've got if that kind of stuff, you have to get over that very quickly, or you shouldn't even be an entrepreneur. If you're going to do what 40-hour a week job employee type people do, with their time and meaningless chatter and during their lunch hour and in the morning and during their day they're just talking to a bunch of friends about a bunch of stuff.
Gossip.
If that's what you're going to do, you're never going to be as successful as an entrepreneur. So I just sort of had written that off as everybody listening to us had better be by that. If they haven't got that out of the way, well, then they're not going to pay any attention to what we're doing here talking about today. So that's a given. In fact, the most of the people that I still have friends that aren't entrepreneurs. I've got or with me, but they know and respect. And if long ago I got them to know that I was deadly serious about what I was doing. I was very busy, and they knew that things had changed in my life, and I wasn't doing average and ordinary things anymore. I wasn't doing that anymore. And that when I was going to take a break and go do something with them, or go play golf with them, or do something like that, I would let them know, and we would do it. And we always had maintained a lot of friends, but they were respectful of me, and I think it probably made them better people with their own time, watching how I deal with my time. So I think that just comes down to how you carry yourself and how you're letting your friends, your family, your people know that something's changed about you, and that you're pursuing things to try to be more business-like and successful, and your time is so valuable. Their time's valuable too, and you'll get with them later. That's all
right.
I can say.
No, that's it. No, absolutely. Well, the big picture was just that: is just be careful of time. Your business will demand it a lot, and especially if you have family, you have kids, just know where to prioritize and what's urgent. So that's it. Balance. You're probably never going to achieve perfect balance. I don't think there's such thing, and if you can keep trying.
If you're perfectly balanced and you're going to stay balanced, that means you've quit growing. You haven't had the next big dream.
Beautiful, exactly.
You haven't started down the road, because all of a sudden there's going to be the next phase of the chaotic is coming, and that's just the way it is in life and everything. If you're bodybuilding and you finally got yourself in a little bit of shape and said, well, that's pretty good, but that's not near where I want to be. Well, you're going to have to go back and go through another whole deal of breaking the muscles down and rebuilding them, and it's all, no pain, no gain.
Well, that is the indicator. If you find yourself in perfect balance, it means you got to start doing something to put you off balance to grow. So awesome, Hubert. Thanks for that. Let me just remind everybody that this podcast is being made possible thanks to the sponsorship of Hegemon Group International, who has the best opportunity in the planet today. If you want to check out what they have to offer, just go to HCIopportunity.com. But I tell you, if you're looking to learn a skill that can elevate your value in the marketplace and bring more revenue, more money to your house, check out Hegemon Group International and their opportunity, again, by going to HCIopportunity.com. And with that being said, I want to thank you for your time. Make sure that if you are listening on any of the podcast platforms, make sure to share with your friends who you know are entrepreneurs, driven, determined dreamers out there. And if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, give us a comment. Tell us about how you find ways to be out of balance, looking for balance, but staying consistently, out of balance. And we'd like to read what you type and obviously reply back, and also like and share so that more and more people can benefit from the content that we are putting out. So thank you once again, and we will see you tomorrow for yet another great episode. Hubert, have an awesome day.
All right, you too. See you later.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.